An 800 amp service is a large electrical service requiring specialized equipment and components, and the use of high-quality components from reputable manufacturers contributes to the cost of the installation. Skilled electricians are required to safely and professionally install electrical services, and their labor costs can vary depending on factors such as experience and location. Obtaining necessary permits and passing inspections can add to the overall cost of the project. The number of units, the distance from the service entrance to each unit, and any existing electrical infrastructure can all impact the complexity and cost of the installation. Based on the itemized list, a bid includes the following components: a circuit breaker assembly, circuit breaker adapters, circuit breakers 125 amps and 100 amps, meter packs, and miscellaneous hardware and materials. The cost of the equipment itself appears to be reasonable for the size and quality of the components selected. Labor costs may vary depending on location and the specific requirements of the installation. It's important to ensure that the labor rate is competitive and reflects the experience and skill of the electricians. The inclusion of feeders as part of the interior wiring bid is appropriate, as they are typically installed after the service is in place. It's understandable that a property owner may consider the bid to be kind of high. However, it's crucial to explain the factors that contribute to the cost and emphasize the quality and reliability of the components and workmanship being provided. Here are some suggestions to consider. Firstly, review the bid with the owner in detail. Explain the purpose and function of each component and how it contributes to the overall cost. Secondly, provide references from past clients. This can help build trust and demonstrate expertise. Thirdly, offer options if possible. Explore alternative solutions that may reduce the overall cost without compromising safety or reliability. And finally, be willing to negotiate within reason, but ensure that you are still able to cover your costs and provide a high-quality installation. Let's delve deeper into the specific components mentioned. The circuit breaker assembly, an essential element of the 800 amp service, provides overcurrent protection for the entire electrical system. It's a critical safety device that prevents damage to equipment and wiring in the event of a fault. The circuit breaker adapters are used to connect the smaller branch circuit breakers to the main circuit breaker assembly. This allows for the distribution of power to individual circuits within the building. The 125 amp and 100 amp circuit breakers are installed in the meter pack to provide overcurrent protection for each individual unit. The size of the circuit breaker is determined by the anticipated load of each unit. The meter pack is a housing that contains the individual meters for each unit. This allows the utility company to accurately measure the amount of electricity consumed by each unit. Miscellaneous hardware and materials include items such as conduit, wiring, connectors, grounding electrodes, and other materials necessary to complete the installation. The labor cost for the installation will depend on a number of factors, including the complexity of the installation, the experience of the electricians, and the prevailing wage rates in the area. It's important to get several bids from qualified electrical contractors to ensure that you are getting a fair price. In addition to the cost of materials and labor, there are also permitting and inspection fees to consider. These fees can vary depending on the local jurisdiction. It's important to factor these fees into your overall budget. When discussing the bid with the property owner, it's important to be transparent about the costs and to explain the value that you are providing. Be sure to highlight the quality of the materials and the expertise of your electricians. You can also offer options to reduce the overall cost, such as using less expensive materials or simplifying the installation. However, it's important to ensure that any cost savings do not compromise safety or reliability. Remember, the goal is to provide a safe, reliable, and cost-effective electrical service that meets the needs of the property owner. To further elaborate on the factors influencing the cost, consider the following aspects in greater detail. Firstly, the specific type of circuit breaker assembly used can affect the price. Some assemblies have advanced features such as digital metering or remote monitoring capabilities, which add to the cost. Secondly, the quality of the circuit breaker adapters is important for ensuring reliable connections. Using substandard adapters can lead to overheating and potential failures. Thirdly, the selection of 125 amp and 100 amp circuit breakers should be based on a careful assessment of the load requirements for each unit. Oversizing the breakers can lead to unnecessary expense, while undersizing them can create a safety hazard. Fourthly, the meter pack should be chosen to meet the specific needs of the building. Some meter packs have additional features such as surge protection or remote disconnect capabilities. Fifthly, the type and quantity of miscellaneous hardware and materials will depend on the specific installation requirements. It's important to use high-quality materials that are appropriate for the environment. Sixthly, the labor cost can be affected by the complexity of the wiring and the distance between the service entrance and each unit. Installations that require extensive trenching or conduit runs will typically cost more. Seventhly, permitting and inspection fees can vary significantly depending on the local jurisdiction. Be sure to check with the local authorities to determine the exact fees that will be required. Eighthly, the cost of grounding is also a factor to consider. The grounding system must be installed in accordance with the National Electrical Code and local regulations. This may involve the installation of ground rods, grounding conductors, and other equipment. Ninthly, the cost of overcurrent protection is a significant factor. The overcurrent protection system must be designed to protect the electrical system from overloads and short circuits. This may involve the installation of fuses, circuit breakers, and other protective devices. Tenthly, the cost of surge protection is also a consideration. Surge protection devices can protect sensitive electronic equipment from damage caused by voltage surges. These devices can be installed at the service entrance or at individual outlets. 11thly, the cost of arc fault circuit interrupters or arc fault circuit interrupter breakers is also a consideration. Arc fault circuit interrupters or arc fault circuit interrupter breakers are designed to protect against fires caused by electrical arcs. These devices are required in many new construction projects. 12thly, the cost of ground fault circuit interrupters or ground fault circuit interrupter breakers is also a consideration. Ground fault circuit interrupters or ground fault circuit interrupter breakers are designed to protect against electrical shock. These devices are required in many locations, such as bathrooms and kitchens. Now let's consider the impact of location. The prevailing wage rates for electricians can vary significantly from one location to another. In general, labor costs tend to be higher in urban areas than in rural areas. The cost of materials can also vary depending on the location. In some areas, certain materials may be more difficult to obtain or may be subject to higher taxes. The local climate can also affect the cost of installation. In areas with harsh winters, it may be necessary to use special materials that are resistant to cold and moisture. Finally, the local building codes can also affect the cost of installation. Some jurisdictions have stricter building codes than others, which can add to the cost of compliance. Therefore, your bid needs to take into account a number of factors, including the size and complexity of the installation, the quality of the materials, the labor costs, the permitting and inspection fees, and the local conditions. Be sure to do your research and get several bids from qualified electrical contractors to ensure that you are getting a fair price. When presenting the bid to the property owner, be prepared to answer any questions they may have. Be transparent about the costs and be willing to negotiate if necessary. By following these tips, you can increase your chances of winning the bid and completing a successful electrical service installation project. Furthermore, consider the long-term implications of the electrical service installation. A well-designed and properly installed electrical system will provide reliable power for many years to come. It can also add value to the property. Therefore, it's important to invest in a high-quality electrical system that meets the needs of the building and its occupants. This includes using durable materials that can withstand the elements. The electrical components need to be installed in a way that minimizes the risk of damage. The system has to be properly grounded to protect against electrical shock. Overcurrent protection devices are necessary to protect against overloads and short circuits. Surge protection devices can protect sensitive electronic equipment from damage. Additionally, consider the future needs of the building. Will the electrical system be able to accommodate future expansion or upgrades? It may be wise to install a larger electrical service than is currently needed to allow for future growth. Also, consider the energy efficiency of the electrical system. Energy-efficient lighting, appliances, and equipment can save the property owner money on their utility bills. In summary, an 800-amp service installation for a condo conversion project is a complex undertaking that requires careful planning and execution. By considering all of the factors discussed above, you can ensure that the project is completed safely, efficiently, and cost-effectively. This includes the evaluation of the service size, the quality of the materials, labor costs, permitting and inspection fees, local conditions, and the long-term implications of the installation. Remember to communicate effectively with the property owner throughout the process and be prepared to answer any questions they may have. Transparency and open communication are key to building trust and ensuring a successful outcome. By taking a proactive approach and paying attention to detail, you can provide a high-quality electrical service that meets the needs of the building and its occupants for many years to come. Keep in mind that electrical codes and regulations are constantly evolving. It's important to stay up to date on the latest requirements to ensure that your work is compliant. You can consult with local electrical inspectors or attend continuing education courses to stay informed. Safety should always be the top priority. Follow all safety procedures and wear appropriate personal protective equipment when working on electrical systems. This includes wearing safety glasses, gloves, and insulated footwear. Always to energize the electrical system before working on it. Use a voltage tester to verify that the power is off. Be aware of the potential hazards of working with electricity and take steps to mitigate those risks. Proper planning, careful execution, and a commitment to safety are essential for success in the electrical contracting industry.